A very good morning to all the students of class 11th political science. And students, we had started the fifth chapter of your syllabus, and the name of the chapter is rights. And in the very first part of this chapter, we had done the introduction part and what are the significance and importance and meaning of rights in a general way. Today, in this second part of this chapter of the book Political Theory, which is the fifth chapter, we are going to start the second part of this chapter, and this is the main content of this chapter, that is what are rights. So today we are going to do the topic what are rights. It looks so simple when you just have a look at that, what are rights, and all of you know about it a little bit from the very junior classes till class 10th. You have been studying about these topics, but now as a student of political theory, as a student of political science, you have opted for this stream of humanities. You must have the deep knowledge of these important concepts and values, okay, because these are one of the most important values which are equally important for each and every citizen in our country. So as we started with this book, we have tried to cover the topics like justice, freedom, equality, where we have understood the all the dimensions of those values. So we all those values are in fact called as rights. We call equality is our right, we say justice is our right, freedom is our right. So it becomes important to understand this simple term rights. What is the importance and significance of this word rights? What are the concepts which are related with rights? So we'll have to do the root study or the base foundation of this rights, because just reading the definition of rights is not enough for a student of political theory. This you have been doing from your junior classes, but now it becomes important for you to do the research work, do the detailed study of these rights, and we will do that in a way where we'll try to understand various dimensions related to this term what are rights. So today, before I start this topic particularly, I would like to give you a definition of rights. It is very good. It's although it's a complicated definition, but each and every word of this definition has some importance and significance and deep meaning, which you will have to understand now as a student of political science. It is not going to be simple at what are rights. You will say in Hindi we call them adhikars, or you will say equality, freedom, or these are the rights, but you will have to give the detailed description of the right and from where this word has come into established or well as known to us. So we'll do the deep study now. So before I start, I will read out the definition and I will explain that definition. Actually, this definition has been discussed throughout this uh, topic what are rights, but I have like consolidated this matter and I have made a definition here for you. So to start with, a right is essentially an entitlement or a justified claim. These claims should be legitimate claims recognized by society and necessary for leading a life of respect and dignity and our well-being. Okay, so this is a definition, a proper definition of rights. It is not going to be easy, so each and every word, as I told you, have some significance and importance, and we'll try to understand this definition in two parts. As this is explained in this whole topic into parts, we'll try and understand into it into different parts. For the very first part, as you can see here, a right is essentially an entitlement or a justified claim. I hope you understand the word and the meaning of this word entitled. This word entitled means it denotes what we are entitled to as a citizen, as an individual, as a human being. जो एज अ ह्यूमन हमको लगता है ये हमारे पास होना चाहिए, या ये राइट हमारी होनी ही चाहिए एज अ ह्यूमन बीइंग, एज एन इंडिविजुअल और एज अ सिटीजन ऑफ इंडिया. The things which we think that should be given to us, it means entitled. So as a human being, as a citizen of India, there are some rights, some essential rights which you think they are entitled or justified, and whatever you are asking for is justified claim. That claim is not unjustified, it is justified. Okay, so it denotes what we are entitled to as a citizen, as an individual, and as human beings. It is something that we consider to be due to us, something that the rest of the society must recognize as being a legitimate. And those entitlements, those claims should be legitimate claims. Legitimate here means something which has value. So whatever we are claiming, or we are saying that we are entitled to have those things with us, those should be legitimate, means it should have value, and those values should be according to the society. Like society should recognize those justified claims. Yes, that these are required by the people in the society. So it should be a claim where society must recognize those claims as legitimate claims that must be upheld. Okay, so the two parts of the definition we have covered, that is, our right is essentially an entitlement or a justified claim, then something that the rest of the society must recognize as being a legitimate claim that must be upheld. This does not mean that everything that I regard to be necessary and desirable as a right. Here we are trying to say that whatever I, as a person, as an individual, thinks that these should be my rights, these are my desires, these are my wishes. So everything I want to do, those things cannot be called as rights. For example, I may want to wear a clothes of my choice to school. I or you, if you want, you cannot come to the school in any dress. There is a prescribed proper dress uniform for you, all of you. So if you will say that I have the right to live, I have the right to move freely, so I can come to the school in any uniform, so this is not going to happen. As that is why we have used the term here, that something that the rest of the society must recognize as being a legitimate claim. Whatever you claim, whatever you are claiming as entitlement or justified right for you, that should be also recognized by the society to be right. If something which is against the values and the norms of the society, that cannot be called as legitimate. That is why whatever is anything has a value, and that should also be recognized by the society. So you cannot go to the school in any uniform. And another example is, I may want to stay out late at night, but this does not mean that I have a right to dress in any way I like at school or return home when I chose to do so. So there is a proper timing for the students also, for everyone to come to the school. You cannot stay outside your home late night. You cannot say that I have the right, so my parents can't stop me from moving here and there. I have the freedom, I have the right to equality. So you, on the basis of these basic rights, you cannot say that something which is undesirable according to the norms and values of the society, you cannot call them rights. You cannot claim those rights as justified or entitled to any individual, because they are against the values of the society. So you will have to understand, when we were studying freedom also, equality also, I told you there are certain uh, constraints or the limitations or the restrictions on these rights. So you don't have to cross that limit. There is a distinction between what I want and what I think I am entitled to. So there is always a distinction, difference. What as an individual I want something I think I'm entitled to, and what can be designated as right. Okay, sometimes I will think I want this, and I also think that as a citizen I have this right, I have this freedom. But ultimately the right would be the one which would be designated as right if the society thinks and recognizes it to be morally correct. Okay. Of course, according to the law, we have got the right to freedom, express freedom, speech. Okay, right to move freely, right to religion, right to education. But those rights should also have some constraints. So if we cross that limit, we cannot call those things as rights. We cannot justify those claims to be as rights. Okay. Now moving forward. Rights rights are primarily those claims that I, along with others, regard to be necessary. So rights will be always primarily those claims. When we are claiming that these are my rights, so those claims will be rights that I, along with others, regard to be necessary for leading a life. Not only an individual wants something for his personal life, that cannot be called as rights, that cannot be considered to be entitlement of right or claims of correct right. If the along with me, Others also regard some claims to be necessary for leading a life of respect and dignity. If along with me, others also demand and claim that something is required to live a life of respect and dignity, that can be called as rights. It means society claims it, and the society thinks it is a value of the society and important for each and every citizen in the society to live a life of respect and dignity. In fact, one of the grounds on which rights have been claimed is that they represent conditions that we collectively see as a source of self respect. Read it carefully. In fact, one of the grounds on which rights have been claimed, there is a one ground, one factor where we say rights have been claimed is that the rights represent conditions that we collectively see as source of self respect. So rights are also one of the important factors which give us the condition where we get the respect and dignity. For example, we are taking here right to livelihood. Every individual, every citizen is having the right to livelihood, right to opportunity of jobs. Okay, equal income may be considered necessary for leading a life and dignity. Okay, so this right to livelihood, to earn his or her livelihood, to look after our family, our loving ones, this right to livelihood or right to life becomes important to live a life of dignity, because if we will not have a livelihood, we will not earn, we will not have economic sources to live a healthy life, to give good life and education and good health to our family members, to our children. It means we will not be able to live a life of dignity. So if we have a right to livelihood, we will have a life of dignity and respect in the society. Being gainfully employed give a person economic independence, because if we have this right of livelihood, it means we will have the every person will have the economic independence, and thus it's centered of his or dignity. Ultimately it will lead to the dignity of a person, because if we are unemployed, we do not have money, people don't actually respect us. It doesn't mean that whoever is unemployed is not having any dignity, but if we see the condition of our society, this is how we have been. If people are respected, they have the dignity, have their if they are having the good livelihood, good economic sources. Having our basic needs met gives us freedom to pursue our talents and interests. Having our basic needs met. If we are able to meet our basic needs, food, clothing, shelter, easily, that also further gives us the freedom to pursue our talents and interests. We'll only think of our talents and interests and grow our personality only if basic needs, basic priorities of each and every individual is satisfied, like food, clothing, education, health. Okay, or take the right to express ourselves freely. This right gives us the opportunity to be creative and original, whether it be writing or dance. Okay, so there is another right to express ourselves freely, right to express. Okay, you know this is also a right, and this gives us everyone an opportunity to be creative and original, where we can show if we are a good writer, we are a good dancer, we are a good musician, or any if we have any other creative activity which we can do, so we can grow in that particular field. But freedom of expression, this was freedom of to express ourselves freely. Now freedom of expression is also important for democratic government. So if we have this freedom of expression, it also becomes important part of democratic functioning of a government, since it allows for the free expression. Here we are free to express whatever our views are in opposition or towards the government. What are our beliefs, what we think about the government. Rights such as the rights to a livelihood or a life freedom of expression. So when we talk about right to livelihood and freedom of expression, would be important for all human beings. So these two, for examples, are the important rights which are important for all human beings. So these rights we are not claiming for a few citizens or few people. These two rights, livelihood and right freedom of expression, seems to be equally important to all the human beings around the world, I would say, not only in India. As society thinks and has always recognized these two rights as the legitimate claims, those have value and importance, and to fulfill the needs and demands and desires of all the citizens, these two rights are really very important. That's why we have told these rights as described them as universal in nature. That is, they are applicable to each and every part of the world or society, equally important, not only a particular countries. So they are universal in nature, I would say. So these are the things which we call as rights, which are equally important for each and every citizen. It is not that only few citizen or a group in the society thinks that they are entitled to, for claiming some rights, and they should get those rights. That becomes irrelevant as a part of right. Moving forward with the other part of the definition, actually we are covering that whole definition. I will read that definition once again, and it would be clear to you after discussing this topic what are rights. So it is the conclusion, I would say, or the summary of this whole discussion, and we have made out that definition. So moving forward to the last part of that definition, another ground on which rights have been claimed, there is also another ground where rights have been claimed, is that they are necessary for our well-being, for well-being and good lifestyle of each and every citizen and human being or individual. These rights have been claimed. These help individual to develop their talents. If there were no rights, we would not be able to grow and show our potential, our talents, our skills. But they help individuals to develop their talents and skills. These rights, a right like the right to education, like we have got the right to education as a right. If there was no such right, there was no right to education, many students, many people in the society who are having many talents and skill would have not shown their potential, what they can do with the help of right to education. So here, right to education, for instance, help to develop our capacity to reason. So whatever is the capacity, we build up, we develop our personality accordingly, give us useful skills, and enables us to make informed choices in life. So a human being is directed in such a way through the process of education, where he realizes his capacity, he realizes the use of his skills in a positive manner, and he to make informed choices in life and to make different choices in life through the use of education. His thinking process completely changes with the help of education. It is in this sense here that education can be designated as a universal right. So this right is also, we can say, as a universal right, as it is not applicable to only a certain section of the society or a particular country. It is equally important for each and every human being, individual born on this earth. So these are the important rights which are as known as universal rights, universal phenomena. Okay. However, if an activity is injurious to our health and well being, it cannot be claimed as right. But on the other hand, if some activities or some procedures, some activities are injurious to the health of a certain group of people or any citizen, that rights we cannot say that they can be claimed as right. If they have the freedom to speech, freedom to move freely, freedom to do anything, it does not mean if they are doing an activity and that activity is injurious to their health and well-being of the human being, that they cannot claim at all to be a right, because our society cannot claim, cannot recognize that injurious activity as morally good for the people of the society. So that cannot be claimed as a right. For instance, for example, we are taking the example of this. Since medical research has shown that prohibited drugs are injurious to one's health, as you know, there have been recent cases on so many celebrities. They have been caught up and they have been asked so many questions. They, okay, as Sushant Singh Rajput's case, you have seen how people have been caught up in that. They have all into the trap because of this use of drugs. They are prohibited and they are injurious to health. Medically, it has been proved through research that they are very injurious to health of individuals who are consuming it. Since they affect our relations with others, they also affect our relations with others. We cannot insist that we have a right to inhale or inject drugs or smoke tobacco. So if we have the freedom to do anything, it does not mean that we have the freedom to inhale or inject drugs or smoke tobacco freely. We cannot say that it's my life, I want to do whatever I want, no one can stop me, because these are not recognized by the society to be morally correct. Also, if we talk about the medical field, research have been made with these things are very injurious to the health of the individual. Apart from individual, they have also a bad impact on the social relationships. In the case of smoking, it may even be injurious to the health of people who may not who may be around the smoker. Okay, someone is smoking, but if we are around that particular person, that smoke would be injurious to the health of the other people as well. Okay, so drugs, on the other hand, drugs may not only injure our health. Okay, it is injurious to health, drugs, but they may also sometimes change our behavior patterns. Okay, psychologically we are not fit, we go into various depressions and various activities where our behavior is completely changed. The person we used to be, we are not the same person, and our social relationships are disturbed a lot, that make us a danger to other. We also become like a danger for the other people in the society. In terms of our definition of rights, smoking or taking banned drugs cannot be claimed as rights. So, as according to the definition and the content which we are trying to understand, the dimensions which we are trying to understand under this topic of rights as a student of political theory, we cannot say that smoking and taking these tobacco and drugs which are banned, we cannot claim them as to be a right of the individual or this any person in the society, as these are immoral activities which are not good at all and not recognized at all by the society, by the government, by the people around us. Okay, so we will have to understand here that there are always constraints on the rights as well. Everything which we have, everything extreme which we want cannot be called as rights. Anything as an individual we desire, which we want that we should have these things or we can do like that, it cannot be called as rights. There are some constraints, we have studied about it. So before I end this particular lecture, that we have come to the end of this topic, what are rights. It is a detailed study and a deep knowledge of rights. You will have to read this chapter from your NCRT book, so you will be able to understand exactly what I'm trying to explain. But before I end up with this video, I would like to repeat the definition once again now for you, so that you could relate the content which we have discussed in this whole video. I have written it down. It's although right, but try to say it. You can write down in your rough notebook also. A right is essentially an entitlement. Okay. A right is essentially an entitlement. When we talk about right, it is an entitlement or a justified claim. It can be only entitled if it is a justified claim. Anything, we cannot claim anything to be a right. There are some things, some procedure, that those rights which are justified, and this should be justified by the society. That is why we are using here, these claims should be legitimate claims recognized by the society. Okay, whatever we are claiming to be the rights of an individual or the group of people or the society, those claims should be entitled only if they are justified, and also those claims are recognized by the society to be morally correct and necessary for leading a life of respect and dignity. If those claims are recognized as morally correct and important, and also those rights are claimed because of that a human can lead a life of respect and dignity, and if also it is having a universal base, it is applicable universally, those can be called rights. Or okay, so I hope you would have understood this properly now. In the next video we will move forward. In this video I will end up here only. So today's topic was what are rights. Thank you so much.